You know what goes together like tea and sugar? That is Georgia Gent, this fragrance channel, and fresh warm weather fragrances. In this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys 5 fragrances that I plan on wearing when it warms up a little bit. And seeing as we're already starting to get in that season, these are 5 that I've been wearing here recently. And now these aren't your typical just 5 fresh fragrances. These are 5 of the most complimented fragrances that I've ever worn. Just generally speaking, everything positive about a fragrance that you can ask for. Let's get into it. The first fragrance that I have to share with you guys is going to be one that I wore very heavily last year. So much that I had to go out and buy a 200 ml size of it. But that's not only because I was wearing it so much, it's also because there has been a discontinuation scare. This has been a fragrance that is enjoyed by pretty much everyone. As of this video right now, it is still available on the YSL website. So get it while you can, guys. The first fragrance on this list has top notes of ginger, grapefruit, cardamom, and bergamot, with mid notes of rose, sage, geranium, and apple, and base notes of cedar, vetiver, and cashmere wood. With those notes, what you're going to have is going to be L'Homme Ultime by YSL. What you will get primarily with this is going to be the ginger, the rose, and the cedar. And now when I say rose, don't think feminine. It's not a feminine fragrance whatsoever. It's a spicy, seductive, alluring scent. But the reason why I have L'Homme Ultime on this list is because it's perfect for going from the cooler weather to the warmer weather months. It's just spicy enough that it'll do so well in the cooler weather months, and just fresh enough, just brisk enough for it to do even better in the warmer weather months. The performance on this, it can either last you 2-3 hours or it can last you 6 to 8 hours. It all depends on the environment that you're in. If you're inside of a building, it'll obviously last longer. If you're outside, you're sweating, the humidity's up, it might last not as long. But while it does last, guys, this is just a great fragrance. Now, next what we have here, guys, is gonna be one of the best designer releases in the past 5-10 years. It is so seductive, it's so intoxicating, this scent, and it's more enjoyable to a lot of people than what is cloning. Cloning, they don't know if it's a clone or if it's just their interpretation of it. There's never been any official release saying that it is a clone, but you smell it and you just kind of know. But what it's going to be is a clone of Creative Ventus. But there are some things that make it a bit different. In this fragrance, you're going to have top notes of bergamot, pink pepper, clary sage, Haitian vetiver, leather, ambroxan, alcagala wood, patchouli, and cacao. What? I don't know about the cacao, but guys, that fragrance is going to be Mont Blanc Explorer. Like I said, guys, this is going to be a clone of Creative Ventus for such a small fraction of the cost that Creative Ventus is. I think I got this right here like a year ago or so, maybe a little more than that, for like $60. But now it can be found for just a little bit cheaper than that. You can probably find the larger 100 ml size of this for under $100. Whereas Creative Ventus is gonna run you, upwards of $250, $300, $400. And to a lot of people, this is much more enjoyable. It's not as harsh. It doesn't have certain harsh notes in there that Ventus is kind of known for. It doesn't have those leathery, rugged notes. It takes all the brightness that Ventus is known for and kind of puts it into a designer fragrance. With a lot of focus on the citrus aspects of Creative Ventus, they kind of put this together and made a fantastic designer release. And it still kind of falls in line with how I would use a Ventus. It's a great in-between season scent. It does have some darker, deeper nuances to it that would go really well in the cooler weather, but it also has that does really well in the warm weather. So right now would be a perfect time to pick this one up, especially if you're in the market for Creative Ventus and you don't want to drop that money. Now, next what I have here, guys, is gonna be a bit of a different kind of fragrance. Such a simple fragrance, but it's so complex in a way. It's almost a notorious scent because some people smell it, some people don't. Some people hate it, some people love it. I initially was one that really hated it because I thought I couldn't smell it. I thought I just wasted all my money on it. But it's gonna be a fragrance that consists of like 2 notes. You basically have ISOE Super, which is an aroma chemical, and you have some woody nuances. With that, what you're going to get is gonna be Molecule 01. Now, I don't even need to start with how highly complimented this is and how just simple it is. In the words of Jeremy Fragrance, it smells like your natural skin scent after you just had sex with somebody. It's that musky, that masculine aroma to it, and it works so well, not only by itself but also when it's layered with things. It also happens to be one of my longer lasting fragrances in my collection, and as you guys can see here, I used quite a bit of this stuff over the time that I've owned it in the past year or so. And that brings me to a pretty solid point about this fragrance. You can layer it with anything. There's been nothing that I've tried layering this with that has turned out bad or gotten any kind of negative feedback, and there's not been a fragrance that I've layered it with that I've not enjoyed how the scent was. To me, this has made some scents smell even better. But not only just smell better, I also do attribute this to quite a bit of compliments that I've received on my scent. I really think that Molecule 1 had a lot to do with that. Now, this one that's not gonna be super cheap. I think it's still roughly around the $100 range, but they do sell a smaller size than this for something about 60 bucks. If you can find this one right here for under 90 bucks, I say grab it. I definitely will. They're actually coming out with a Molecule 1 plus patchouli that I'm really looking forward to, because it's gonna be a simple scent, but with the extra patchouli, it might be pretty nice. And I will 100% be bringing you guys a video on that one too. Now guys, the next fragrance that I have here is gonna be one of the best up and coming fragrances that have been released in the past few years. Well, one of the best fragrance lines released in the past few years. It kind of falls in line with your Dior Sauvage, kind of falls in line with your Invictus, kind of falls in line with your Bleu de Chanel. But even though it's in that same family, it has such a positive fragrance DNA to it. It's honestly one that you can't go wrong with. Their range lines from the somewhat more in depth, which is gonna be one of their newer releases, to something that's super, super fresh. This is right below that super fresh. The super fresh is gonna be one that I would recommend for summer. This is gonna be one that I recommend for right now. With notes of orange blossom, bergamot, ginger, juniper, and sage, you get YSL Y Live. Now guys, this is YSL Y Live Intense. It looks a lot like YSL Y EDP, but if you look here, this is a bit more of a blue tinge to it. But this is such a fantastic blue, almost fresh out of the shower gel kind of scent. It smells like a very strong, expensive body wash. This reminds me of some of the higher end designer body washes that I've tried, like Versace. It smells a lot of that to me. Now, this is not gonna be a heavy projector. It's not gonna be one that's gonna really reach across the room, but it does last a while. And this is an aroma that you really, really enjoy in your scent bubble. And so will people that are around you that can smell you. I think this one runs for about 100 bucks, maybe a little less. So now I have YSL Y EDP, I have this guy, I have Eau Fraiche. I do look forward to trying out the new YSL Y, I think it's the Le Parfum, just because it does look like it has more some in-depth notes. I haven't heard the best reviews on it. I do want to get a decant of it. Like with any of these guys, if you can get a decant of these before you buy them, if you can spend, $10, $15 on trying these out before you go out and buy them, do that instead. Now, lastly, is a fragrance that has not been the best received in the Fragcom and really anywhere, because I think it was so overlooked. This line has come to find out, put out more flankers to this line than most lines that I've seen, but this scent is hands down the best in terms of an office scent from this line. It's fresh, it's inviting, it's seductive too. This is a sexy office scent, if that is a thing. With this fragrance, you're gonna have notes of grapefruit, cardamom, coriander, and basil, clary sage, lavender, geranium, and base notes of vetiver, tobacco, labdanum, and patchouli. With that, what you're gonna have is gonna be Dolce & Gabbana The One Gray. You're gonna have a very warm, spicy, fresh scent in the opening, but you can smell something there that's a bit more oomph, something that is sexy, something that is just kind of mysterious. I believe that it's the tobacco that's in the base, that it's not something that's gonna be super sweet. It's almost like a tobacco leaf in a way. So it's a very dry, sweet, citrusy scent. But once it dries down, that sweetness, that depth that's there, turns into like a creamy depth, a creamy sweetness. That makes me really confused about why you guys don't like this stuff. Not you, necessarily. You'll enjoy this. But like, those guys, the fragrance community people. And guys, this is probably gonna be one of the cheaper ones on this list, seeing as it's not been discontinued. It's readily available on discounters. And with that being said, this is gonna be one that I really look forward to wearing when it warms up a little bit. Let me go ahead and just do a little. Oh, it's good. Now, I do have a few more here in front of me, but you're gonna need to subscribe to my channel so you get more videos like this. Until then, guys, keep it gent, and I'll see you next time.